Serious, what do you miss about the old internet? Being able to Google image something and have results other than viable products come up. I miss the old Google image search where, when you searched for an image, you could easily navigate to this original source image. Instead now I get a preview of the site when I click the image, and even then no idea how to just get this image. Newgrounds are more games. Content creators were people just being passionate about creating stuff, sharing it globally. Corporations not taking as much advantage of YouTube and social medias. I wouldn't say the old internet was better, but they were simpler, innocent times. People were so excited to talk to people in other parts of the world. Now it's no big deal. But back in early chat rooms, almost every conversation that wasn't in one of the 18+ groups was all "Where are you? I'm here. What's it really like there? What do you think it's like here?" The internet felt like ham radio back then. We were all just reaching out across this crazy global network and making contact with each other. Now it feels like the wilderness has been paved, and there are toll booths and advertisements and kiosks where there used to be herds of bison and pristine waterfalls. We knew it couldn't last, but I feel bad for the younger generation that will never know how it used to be. At least there are photographs of the unspoiled wilderness and some parks and conservation sites. Nothing remains of the old information superhighway that can be experienced. Being able to use websites without having to create an account. Passwords being whatever the heck you wanted instead of requiring a number, a capital letter, a hieroglyph, your favorite color and shoe size. Having a game on a physical disc that you can play on any PC with no or very little download installation time. Forums. Actual forums. No upvotes, downvotes, or likes or follows or subscriptions. Just a bunch of people who got to know and recognize each other's usernames, profile pics, signatures, etc. There would be people you'd avoid that mods could ban, and trolls were more often just assholes who like to make people mad over stupid stuff by being wrong on the internet. Not vicious faceless people getting their rocks off by doxing, threatening and suicide baiting. Reddit isn't the same. You don't have the same limited community of people bopping between subjects. You're one of a mass who pick and choose your subreddits. I know nobody here I don't recognize usernames at all. It would be a thing to have a sock puppet account on a forum, but a throwaway is normal here. It's not a conversation, but a shout into the void to see who gets the best echo and who gets the biggest landslide. I'm still here though. I miss that so much. I still have a message board I go to, and it's wild to think about how long everyone there has known each other. Like literally some of my oldest friends are from there. They gave me a down payment for a car when mine broke, and I urgently needed a new one. We've all met at least 10 other members in real life. Nobody digs through post history for dirt to cancel each other with, because we all have easily accessible skeletons in our closets. Some of the members are literally each other's alcohol, drug, emergency contacts, things, sponsors, I guess. People have gotten each other jobs and helped each other find houses when they move. It's crazy that it started as a bunch of trolls. If that board ever disappeared, it would leave a huge hole in my life. I don't see how that could ever happen on a site like Reddit. I have some really good Twitter friends too, but Twitter is too porous. Anyone can find your posts and comment on them. The walled garden is a bygone relic I never thought I'd miss. Edito, and there are at least 3 married couples who met on there. Maybe showing my age, but I miss getting to the end of the internet. Like, you go to look up a specific subject and start clicking links, and eventually that'd be it. Sometimes it'd be less than 5 sites or maybe a few dozen plus some forums, but sooner or later you'd run out info on that subject and all the websites would only lead to websites you've already visited. Old MySpace layouts. You really could tell what someone was into and what they were about the second their page loaded. All the decked out super gaudy formatted angel fire web pages for fandoms and game guides with goose books. Fuck and the other pre-Reddit aggregate forums. Lastly, AIM. The personalization was top notch for the time and the excitement when a friend would come online. Nowadays I see friends come online on PSN or Switch, I don't even look. The simplicity. YouTube was genuine and about actually making homemade videos. Now everyone is trying to be a YouTube star with attention whoring thumbnails, and every video is plagued with ads. Social media was a simple way to connect with people, and not the absolute disaster it's become today. I remember when Facebook first came out, when I first got into college, and I found my roommate, and added other people that I had classes with. That is before Marky Mark became a billionaire bent on world domination. Honestly, I miss most of it lol. No influencer streamers turning a hobby into a grift. No political pundits with social media manufacturing outrage. No social media in general. Actual forums with a sense of community. People pouring their heart into their own embarrassing web pages. The internet was a separate place from the real world. Now the two are deeply intertwined and everything that can be has been commodified or turned into an app. Oh. And we are being spied on 24/7, so some Amazon Facebook algorithms can determine what shade of curtains we prefer. Online gaming in the late 90s to early 2000s before annual releases. DLC, microtransactions, grinding for unlocks, subscription fees and F2P models ruined it. That was the high point of gaming. After releasing a game, you buy it. A new one would come along with new features like Fire Helicopter in our FPS game. To ensure the game had shelf life, the one you purchase now would implement hovercrafts or something similar to ensure the product they worked on wasn't obsolete and still had value. It really was a gamer's market. Till one day wonder if someone would be stupid enough to pay. Here we are. Still haven't paid to pay, but haven't bought a new game in years because they are all structured that way. Pretty sparse on appealing titles without it these days is why. The old crappy sites, which were often just some own soul laid bare, are repeating low res image as background. Just a solid collar, if you were lucky, with neon colored letters welcoming you to their little spot on the web, where they gush about their latest obsession. Pictures just thrown in randomly along with the nearly mandatory dancing banana or Christmas light in December. A 8-bit rendition of Nirvana blasting through the speaker that restarts each time you go to a different segment on the site. Add to that some links to their friends' pages and the page vid counter proudly ticking in the corner, and you have the perfect nostalgia trip, and everything just had that vibe. From a teenager's Geocities page, where she gushes about Kavu from The Lion King, to big players like CNN, or the homepage of a candidate running for president. Everything just looks so polished right now. Everyone can generate a professional looking site in minutes. It's just so soulless. I miss how unobtrusive ads were. Like yeah, you had pop-ups like we do now, but they were separate windows back then and not an integrated unit that would block the entire page. I also miss the fun things people did with scripts, like the button that played I Like Out Loud while it made the browser shake. Also when Rickrolling was just starting to be a thing, someone posted a script where it played Never Gonna Give You Up while jumping around the screen, and when you finally clicked the close window button it brought up multiple error messages before it closed, which went line by line through the lyrics. I miss the old AOL startup. It was simple by today's standards, but exciting hearing the You've Got Mail voice and aimed or creaking and rushing to see which friends were online lol. The old AOL profiles. I'm sure I'd cringe at what I'd put now. I also kind of miss MySpace surveys that everyone would pass around, that you'd post on the main page. Message boards were awesome back then too. Not being expected to use your real name. Everyone having their own web page instead of being on FB, Twitter, whatever. Your own domain name ISP supplied web space Geocities. Not being expected to use your real name. Usenet and icon website specific forums and chat rooms looking at you. Rinkworks. Not being expected to use your real name. When I was the customer, not the product. Not being expected to use your real name. Not being expected to use your real name. And not being expected to use your real name. Smart people and insightful comments being the rule, not the exception. It used to be that you had to have a good job, be at a university, be tech literate to even know the internet existed. We are talking BBS, Usenet, Ike, even Gopher. At that time it was all above average people talking to each other, posting, making comments and what are now known as blogs. It sounds elitist, and it ducking gloriously was, because you were so much more likely to speak to a smart emergency room-ish person, to interact with a physicist, an artist, just someone smart. And now that everyone is on the internet, Well, everyone is on the internet, which means that George Carlin's quote about "you know how dumb the average person is, now realize that 50% are dumber than that" is so true. It saddens me that the majority of content discussion is by absolute idiots. The signal to noise ratio is now so low that it is hard to find real, fact-based, written by experts stuff. Also, somehow YouTube video tuts have replaced the more dense and better written tutorial. I would much rather learn how to use a third program with a well-written tutorial than a video, because the written word is more precise. You can read it faster than watching a video, and you retain the info better and can reference it better. Video tutorials suck. The excitement of speaking with people around the world in real time. It was awesome. 1997 first time using the internet. We had alt fan groups and chatted away, often getting up in the middle of the night to join a certain chat. Now, it's just taken for granted. Decentralization. The internet has morphed from thousands of unique sites and communities to centralized platforms often owned by traditional media outlets are able to either subtly or not so subtly curate content. Reddit is a prime example. It's killed hundreds of forums, and not for the better. The sense of community and personal nature that forums gave is something utterly lost. There's little value engaging with a community anymore. A lot of the things I valued the internet for are gone. I made no end of friends through forums. Things like Tumblr, but now it's just a few big sites where advertising is all that really matters in the end. It never used to be about the money. Less ads. You didn't need Chrome extensions or pop-up blockers to play music from YouTube for hours straight. Less old people. Sure, they had email, but life was more carefree before the boomers got on Facebook. Less propaganda. In the early zeros we couldn't even cite Wikipedia on papers because it wasn't trustworthy, and now everyone who spends more than 5 minutes on Facebook has consumed, if not shared and amplified, fake news, inflammatory clickbait, and outright misinformation. There was political discussion, sure, but people generally acted like it didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Online political discussion was treated as a minor side show to real-life political discussion, and it wasn't seen as something that was inherently tied to the internet. That changed after Gamergate. While I certainly roll my eyes at the occasional journalist take like Gamergate directly led to the Capitol riot, it definitely feels like there was a floodgate that burst, and after that the internet started getting more politicized. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing for more videos.